It's the amazing Rico Brogna podcast with your host, Evan Roberts.
Somehow, some way, the hottest team in Major League Baseball happens to be the New York Mets. What an enjoyable Monday night. You know, if you sat down after a hard day of work and you said to yourself, what am I going to do tonight? Am I going to watch the Boston Celtics win another NBA championship? Am I going to watch another edition of Monday Night Raw? Or maybe I'm going to sit down and I'm going to watch the New York Mets play baseball. If you decided to do that on your Monday night, oh, baby, what a night. And Gary Cohen said something on this broadcast that I would like to echo. I certainly feel this way. I think a lot of Met fans feel this way. Give me the game in which we whip that ass for 9 innings. Give me the game that has no excitement in terms of drama. Give me the game in which the Mets can nice and easily win a baseball game. And I'll be locked in for 2.5 hours, 3 hours. Now, they play a heart-wrenching 3-2 game. We'll all be locked in, but we will not enjoy it as much as this. And throughout this winning streak, the Mets have given us a lot of stress. It hasn't always been easy. But on this night in the heart of Texas, with a 5-game winning streak, with the debate raging on what has caused the Mets to get hot, is it Grimace? Is it a team meeting? Is it something else? I'm here to tell you, who cares? They're winning. And tonight in Texas, they whipped that Ranger took us. And that was fun to watch. That was enjoyable to watch on every level, because now this Met team has won 6 in a row. This 12-game stretch going into the Subway Series, in which I looked at it and said, get me 8-4. Well, right now they're 6-1. And they continue to gain ground in the National League. Right now, in this moment, they are a game out of a wild card spot. That's it. So, yes, they're under 500. Yes, they still have more work to do, but it feels good, and that's okay. And as far as Grimace is concerned, let me just say this. As a Met fan that is desperate, and I think all of us are, right? Aren't we? Isn't that basically the name of being a Met fan, that we are desperate people? If you want to give Grimace credit for this, that's fine with me. I don't care. I mean, when Grimace threw out that first pitch, I guess it was before game 2 of the Marlins series, I didn't think much of it. I don't think any of us thought much of it. But if that's going to be our rally cry, guess what? There's been worse rally cries. I mean, think about it. When the Anaheim Angels won a World Series in 2002, they had a rally monkey. Okay, that was their shtick, a rally monkey. Even us, when we got to the World Series in 2000, we started playing Who Let the Dogs Out. I mean, what the hell was that? So if our rallying cry is going to be this purple blob from McDonald's, I'm all right with it. I don't really care. But there was so much good from this game, especially offensively. So we did the Rico after the series ended against the San Diego Padres. And one of the points I made was that Pete Alonso had a very productive day on a couple of levels. He hit that 3-run home run in the bottom of the first inning to erase the Met early deficit. It was actually 1-1 at the time. He hits that 3-run home run, and then he has the 2-run single in the 8th inning of the game. Once San Diego made it close, he broke the game wide open. And the hope was, when you take a look at his last at-bat Saturday, which was a double, and you take a look at what he did in the finale of that series against San Diego, 2 hits, 5 RBIs, that maybe this was going to get him going. And you go to the first inning of this game, and I thought Pete Alonso had a big moment very early on. And it's funny, when you win a game 14-2, it's easy to think that there were no big moments. I mean, well, what are the big moments? You just beat a team's butt. But there actually, in my opinion, was a big moment early in this game. And the big moment early in this game came from Pete Alonso. Top of the first inning. You're in the midst of a 5-game winning streak. You get a leadoff hit from Francisco Lindor, who had a monster day going 4 for 4. Carlos Mendoza neutered him, though, because he took him out for defense. Lindor could have gone 6 for 6. He could have pulled an Edgardo Alfonso in Houston, but he never got that opportunity. Damn you, Mendy, damn you. But Lindor starts the game with a base hit. Nimmo pops up. J.D. Martinez rips a base hit to right center, and they are set up with first and third and one out. And in that moment, and I'm watching this game live tonight, 8 o'clock start. Did not go into the city today because I'm a juror. So I did both. I was a juror, and then I at least made half of the show, the Evan and Tiki show. So I did both. And now the triple header is the Rico Brogna. So I'm sitting here live. They have first and third and one out. And I look over to my wife, and I say, big spot for Pete. And she says, what? Did the Mets start? I said, yeah, game going on right now. I said, big spot for Pete. Because he had a huge Sunday. He had that double at the end of Saturday. This is an early moment against a tough cookie in John Gray. Let's not forget, the Mets didn't just beat up some schlub, kind of like what they did on Sunday where they beat up a good pitcher. Not that Dylan Cease is a schlub. I'm actually saying they beat up a good pitcher on Sunday. So you're facing John Gray. You have first and third and one out. Pete is behind in the count. This has a chance to be an inning that goes nowhere. I mean, it really did. And Pete hits a line drive to right center field. And off the bat, I wasn't sure. I thought maybe Marcus Semien was going to leap up and make a great catch, but it was well over his head for a huge RBI single. And even though that was it in the first inning, that was the only run the Mets scored because DJ Stewart popped up and Tyrone Taylor grounded out. Tell me if I'm crazy. Big first inning at bat from Pete Alonso. And little did I know, Pete would have 2 more hits in the game, driving another run. He's raised his batting average to, I haven't seen it, but I'm going to guess close to 240. But that was a big at-bat early in this game. And then you go to the second inning, the explosion, if you will. And what I loved is that they had so many good quality at-bats. The Mets didn't score 14 runs by hitting the ball over the fence a bunch of times. They had a lot of base hits and a lot of base hits in which they were behind in the count. Mark Vientos started the rally in the second inning. The count was 1-2. Jeff McNeil jumped on a first pitch for a big base hit. Francisco Lindor was behind in the count 0-2 when he had the RBI single. And then shockingly enough, after Pete Alonso drove in another run and Brandon Nimmo, who had a very productive day, drove in a run. I mean, basically everybody had a productive day today. If your name wasn't Tyrone Taylor, you were awesome at Globe Light Field on a Monday night. But DJ Stewart comes up, and as he came up to the plate, and at this point, it's 4-0. So, nice little cushion. I did think to myself, this is where DJ is going to park one. Because of what I said on the last Rico, which, by the way, I stand by, which is the roster move I would make, is I would send DJ Stewart down, and I would call up Brett Beatty. And I would create opportunities for Beatty to get at-bats with McNeil playing the outfield, McNeil basically taking DJ Stewart's role, and also still maintaining some time at second base. But I could feel it. I could feel it in my blood that here's what's going to happen. DJ is going to hit one about 5,000 feet. I get a few obnoxious emails at thericob@gmail.com saying, you hate DJ Stewart. Look what he did. Look, on this night in Texas, I would have gotten a few hits. So I'm not going to put that much stock in the 1 home run DJ Stewart did hit. I still think that would be the move I would make. But nevertheless, he broke the game open. And when he hits that home run to make it 7-0, I'm laughing. I'm giggling. And it's okay to feel that way as a Met fan. Don't we deserve happiness? Don't we? One thing I've learned as a sports fan, not that I won't do this on the air, on the fan, or on the Rico, because, we always think about what's next. I mean, that's part of being a sports talk show host, right? You're thinking about what's next. What does this even mean? But in the moment while I'm watching a game, so in this case on a Monday night, I like to just enjoy it and not overthink, okay, great, there's still 3 games under 500. Because if you always think that way, you're never, ever going to enjoy anything. And trust me, as a sports fan, I don't think I enjoy enough. I mean, mostly because my teams suck. I don't know if you guys know this, but the Boston Celtics won an NBA championship on Monday night that was built on the stupidity of the basketball team I root for. So how could one enjoy sports? It's very difficult to. But on a night in which you blow another team out and you put up 14 runs, how many hits did they have in this game? Hold on, I'm going to add this up. 3, 6, 9.
22. 22.
I got higher than that, unless my scorecard is wrong. Hold on. 9, 12, 15, 18, 19, 22. You're right.
Oh.
I got 22. You had me nervous. I was like, did I did I screw it up? I tell you, my scorecard looks beautiful. We do the podcast now live on YouTube, and then it gets posted wherever you download the podcast, obviously, the Odyssey app, the Apple Store, wherever you get podcasts. But for the visual audience, I'm going to hold up my scorecard from this game. And you can see there's a lot going on. All right, here's a little preview. Sorry, I pulled it down real quick.
That will be in his next book coming out in 2026.
2026, more like 2046. I got to give it like 30 years. It was a very disorganized scorecard. You know what's funny scorecard-wise? When you get 22 hits and you score 14 runs, usually you bat around. And the Mets, I mean, there's a geeky debate on what batting around actually is. Like if 9 batters come to the plate, did you bat around? Or do you need a guy to bat for a second time in an inning and have 10 guys bat? That's a very geeky scorecard debate. I happen to be one that says if everybody gets an at-bat, you have batted around. But for scorecard purposes, let me rephrase that because I actually said the opposite of what I think. So let me say that again. I actually believe that you need to bat around by getting to that same spot in the order again for you to bat around. So in my opinion, in my scorecard, I've got to write like a box around a player and say, oh, he's batting for a second time in that inning. That to me is the only way I consider it a bat around spot. So they didn't bat around today, other than sending the 9 hitters to the plate that they did in the second inning. And yet they scored 14 runs on 22 hits. But, man, you look at the production that they got today. Francisco Lindor, 4 for 4. Brandon Nimmo, who has been red hot ever since I made the mistake of saying maybe Pete Hoffman was right about wanting to bat him 9th. Basically, you can't get Brandon Nimmo out. He drove in 4 runs in this game with 3 hits. J.D. Martinez was actually relatively quiet. Pete Alonso had 3 hits, drove in 2 runs. DJ hit the 3-run home run. Mark Vientos had 3 hits. And Francisco Alvarez, who has not done a lot since he's come back from the IL, though the Mets are winning, so he's got that good luck charm going, had 3 hits in his final 3 at-bats. And maybe that's a great sign that he's waking up. And Jeff McNeil had 1 hit. So he at least gave you a hit. But I think what's very, very exciting is that Pete Alonso is due to get hot. It looks like he is getting hot. Brandon Nimmo is hot. Francisco Lindor is hot. Francisco Alvarez may be on his way to getting hot. And right now you've got the offense that, at least for me, when I was optimistic, as I was at the beginning coming into this season, my optimism was based on that. Was based on this lineup being a strength, this being a really good offensive team. And over the last month, they've been that. And there's encouragement that this can continue. That's not even commenting on their bullpen or their rotation. But remember, coming into the season, that's where my confidence came from. It came from this offense. It came from this offense being a strength. And after they score 14 runs against Texas, I am afraid they're going to get shut down tomorrow because that's the way baseball is. But really, you look at the numbers over the last month, they have been a dynamic offensive team, and there are signs that this can continue.
Well, isn't that kind of what we always say? Like, look at the back of the baseball card. You said that we've had the conversation, but Lindor and Alonso were due to break out eventually. JD Martinez was due to break out eventually. That's why I put up on a stat, but I don't have the exact numbers in front of me just now, but they did it while the post game is on, where since May 30th, the numbers for Nimmo, Alonso, JD Martinez, and Lindor are just astronomical. They're all three out of the 4 guys are batting over 1,000 OPS. They're all getting extra base hits, and Martinez is just, but that's what baseball is. It's these ebbs and flows. And can you take a guy like Carlos Mendoza? Can he guide the Mets through the ship when they're sinking?
So what you're trying to say is the back of the baseball card phrase that we eventually banned from the Rico because it pissed people off turned out to be right.
Yes.
Well, look, the whole point is a good baseball player is a good baseball player. And when they get off to a bad start, that doesn't mean they now suck. It just means they're off to a bad start. And more times than not, you eventually get to your career numbers. What you're seeing specifically from Lindor is that he's slowly getting to his numbers, and I think what's good is that because of the grace of God that the National League is so mediocre, the Mets didn't bury themselves. Despite what was an awful month of May and going through just this terrible, terrible stretch, they never buried themselves, which is why when we would talk during their 11-game under 500 moments or 10-game under 500 moments that, hey, they're only 4 games out of a playoff spot, that mattered. It mattered not because, they're only 4 games out or 11 under. It mattered in terms of if they can get hot, which they are right now. There's no denying that. They'll be in the race. And that's why it always mattered. It always mattered because if you stay within striking distance, you haven't buried yourself. The most frustrating thing that could have happened is the Mets fall 11 games under 500. They're buried out of a playoff race. And even when they get hot like this, our response would be great. They're winning. They're still 7 games out, right? That's usually what would happen in a normal baseball world. But we don't live in a normal baseball world. And I have no complaints about that. So they've gotten hot. They've won 6 in a row. Obviously extends more than that. If we really go back to the beginning of the Arizona series after the Jorge Lopez throwing the glove up, their hotness and the fact that they weren't buried has gotten them in a pennant race. I mean, they're right there. And I laid it out on the last Rico, and you can go back and listen to it. They are also in a great position when it comes to tiebreakers against everybody. I mean, basically, they have a chance to own tiebreakers on every National League team not named the San Francisco Giants, which is insane. But that's the reality. So this is a really fun time. I do find it funny that the one pitcher the New York Mets could not hit for the most part in this blowout was Andrew Knizner, the backup catcher. And this always just boggles my mind. Andrew Knizner comes in and throws 48 miles an hour, and the Mets can't hit him. That is why I've always had the theory, and it used to piss Craig off, but whatever, it's true, that I believe I can get a major league hitter out. Because if Andrew Knizner's coming in and throwing 48 miles an hour, and he's getting ground outs, and he's getting line outs, and he's getting double plays, then isn't that proof that if any one of us came in for a short period of time, obviously, can't do it too long, because then they'll figure you out, you could probably get some major league hitters out. So he's the one guy who Texas went to in this game that did not allow a run. Now, I need to mention David Peterson, a very solid performance out of David, because sometimes it's not easy pitching with a big lead. We've seen it before where a guy is handed a monstrous lead and they don't know how to pitch with it. David Peterson, outside of walking Marcus Semien with 1 out and nobody on, which kind of drove me nuts, for the most part, he attacked the strike zone. He did not nibble. He knew, I've got a big lead. And so when Robbie Grossman hits a 2-run home run, it kind of sucks, but you still have a 5-run lead. Now, it was great that the Met offense was able to instantly respond to that instead of allowing the game to get close. But David Peterson, for the most part, was really effective in this game. Nice, solid performance out of him, giving this team innings, not having to go to the bullpen way too early. They did get 2 innings out of Adam Ottavino. Yeah, Adam Ottavino pitched 2 innings, which was kind of odd. And then Drew Smith closed this game out. Now, the Mets do have an off day on Thursday. So keep that in mind, that they could be a little bit more aggressive with their bullpen. But they take the opener of this series, and right now, as a Met fan, it feels damn good. 6 in a row, the hottest team in baseball. And if you want to give a purple blob credit for this, I got no problem with it. I am no longer a party pooper in my life. Whether it's Grimace, whether it's the Mets changing their logo for Pride Month, whether it's, hey, me cut my beard. And by the way, Gary Cohen, always love the promos that you read for Evan and Tiki on SNY. And speaking of being on SNY, next week for the Subway Series, a full 4 hours on SNY, both Tuesday and Wednesday, live from the Cadillac Club before Mets Yankees. That'll be a lot of fun. But Gary Cohen read the promo on Monday, And the promo clip shows me with my disgusting beard, and Gary says he's got to get rid of that beard. I did get rid of that beard. And maybe no one will give that credit, but that's maybe turn the Mets season around. Nah, nobody's giving that credit. That's fine. They did lose. I think after the beard got cut, they lost 2 out of 3 to San Francisco and all 3 to LA. So it's tough to argue that. But here's the point. Whether it's a beard, whether it's Pete Hoffman and Tommy Lugauer's optimism, whether it's a purple blob, whether it's the logo for Pride Month, I don't care. None of us should care. The New York Mets are hot. Apologize to nobody. This was a pre-planned Rico. This was a pre-planned win, lose, or draw Rico. But we will definitely give you another Rico Brogna when this series is over after Wednesday night's game against Texas. And then coming up for Subway Series week, I think we may be doing Ricos every single day, which we look forward to. We're also about to approach the halfway point of this season. It's not the All-Star break, but it's the halfway point of the season. And here's why that's important. One homework assignment I've always said at the Rico is write down the worst losses of the season. Write down the best wins of the season so that you don't forget, because it's easy to forget. Like if I asked you right now here in the middle of June with this team playing so well, hey, what are their 10 best wins? It's easy to forget. That's why you write it down. Well, coming up next week, when we get to the halfway point of the season, I will reveal at least my top 10 wins of the season and top 10 brutal losses of the season. And trust me, the brutal losses are, they're depressing. But you know what? We're a game out of a wild card spot. We're only 3 games under 500. We just whipped that Texas Ranger World Championship ass. We've won 6 in a row. It's okay. Breathe and smile. Thank you very much for listening, downloading, and I guess enjoying a live We Won Again edition of Rico Brogna.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Rico Brogna podcast. It's amazing, isn't it? Make sure you download it now to keep it on you at all times.